Hi guys, welcome to Weekend Dev Challenge by CodeChef. So this is part 2 of the Weekend Dev Challenge 36. So in this part, we'll be seeing Mars Rover Navigator Project. So what we'll be doing basically in this project is basically a backend logic for the navigation system that guides the rover across the surface of the Mars. So there's a rover currently standing at 0, 0, the X and Y positions and facing towards north. Now I click on go ahead. It moves one place on the X-axis and again face towards north. Y would be again 0. So this is how basically you can keep navigating it through the the rover. So first we have the three files. One is rover.java, one was rover service, and one is rover controller. Rover service is the logic and rover controller is basically the manager, and rover is the overall structure of framework. So here you can see we have x and y, int x and int y. So x is basically for the x-axis movement and y is for the y-axis movement. There is no 3D movement here, it is linear. And then we have the direction, that is NESW, northeast, southwest. So we have to select either of these movements. And now initially we have the default constructors starting at 0, 0 facing north. So the rover is at currently 0, 0 position on the graph. Imagine a graph 0, 0 position, Cartesian plane, and then the direction is facing towards north, the top of the Cartesian plane. Now then again we have the getters and setters. So basically we get the x position and then we mark the x position as whatever the new x position is. We mark that using the set method, and again similarly for the y method, and then similarly for the direction method as well. We first take the current direction and then we put the implement the further direction. Now second part is basically the rover service. So in this rover service we have a private rover. So basically whatever the structure this was, we have a private of that structure here, rover, and then here we have a public rover service. So here we are creating the new rover structure. So now we have the new rover structure. Now we have the commands, the rover commands, pressing commands. So first, if the command is L, we have to turn left. If the command is right, we have to turn right, and if the command is front, we have to move forward. So here we have to convert whatever the command is there, we'll convert that into uppercase. So if somebody enters small r also, small letter r also, it converts that into capital R, and then it moves to the right. Now next we have the get rover status. So get rover status is basically whatever the rover's position is, that is rover status. Now we have one more button called reset rover. So reset rover, what it does basically is it takes the rover back to the 0th position on the x-axis, 0th position on the y-axis, and faces towards north. Now then we have the logic methods. So basically first is n. If the the rover is if you click on n, the turn left, if you click on n, basically you click on the turn left method, that is L. So now if the initial position was n, then it converts that into west. If the initial position was west, it converts that into south. If the initial position was south, it converts it into east, and similarly from east to north. Similarly for right, north, from north it goes to east, east say south, south say west, and from west again it takes to the north. Simple. Now we have one more function called move forward for moving the rover forward. So initially we have the current x and current y. We are currently taking the position of x and y of that rover using get x and get y in the rover.java. Now here we have the switch case again for the direction. If the case is n, if basically the the direction is n, and we check if the current y is less than 9. So basically we have a 10 on 10 frame for the rover to move. If it is currently less than 9, then we increase it by 1. If it is greater than 0, then we decrease it by 1. For south, for moving back. For east we take the x-axis, and similarly for west we take the x-axis on the other side. So that is how you move it, you getting the movement, right? Then we have the rover controller.java. So this rover controller, basically here again this is like a the manager. So here we have the constructor injection first, that is basically to create the whatever you call this what do you call the basically the framework for that rover. And then we have the status, get mapping for the status. So get status for that rover is basically we get the status of the rover, which direction is it, which current position is it. And then we have the move. So for this move we again have the process command. So this process command is basically in this route, this one in the route in the rover service. And then finally we have the rover to reset to original position, reset to current position. And then for this reset we have the reset rover inside the the rover service. Here the reset rover, so it converts everything back into 0, 0. Now let me run the program. I hope you guys have understood this. So I click on FRF and I'll click on send. So I think it's still running. Yeah, now the Spring Boot has started. So I click on FFRF. So you can see FFR and again forward F. All right. So now I'll click on coordinates is 1, 2, and heading is east. So now I'll click on left, one left and one more left, and then right and then front. So it should end up in this particular position where my cursor is. Okay, so basically, yeah, it just turned into left, okay, for forward and then left. All right, done. So emergency set again takes back to 0 0. Okay, so let me submit the program. I hope you guys have understood this. So the test case have passed, and that's it for this video. See you in the next video. Thank you.